when I began using herbs, I was very timid and afraid, and I was afraid that I was going to hurt somebody. And I'm not sure why, because I had, dabbled with herbs my entire life, and I don't know. I don't know what it was, but I remember specifically, like, in some of those big early on herb hauls, like I got really mild herbs like triphala and ginkgo and eleuthero, and I would make these formulas for people, and I would blend up all the herbs, and I'd say take a gram a day. And that gram is nothing. Like, when you look at those 3 herbs in there, like a gram a day is not going to do anything. And I would, put someone on burdock root at like a gram a day. And I just didn't quite understand how to go from learning about the doses I was learning to and actually administering them in practice. It definitely had some intimidation and discomfort around it. And I remember I had a friend on a formula, and he called it the GET formula. And it was ginkgo, eleuthero, and triphala. And he had like a little jar that was maybe 50 grams. Like, it was a little tiny batch, and he would take like a gram a day. And after taking it for a couple weeks, he ended up getting diarrhea. And he had like tons of digestive issues, so keep that in mind. And he immediately was like, I started Googling the herbs you have me on, like, did the triphala give me diarrhea? And I'm like, feeling all responsible and new to the show and just like a baby. And I was like, well, you've been on it a couple weeks. I don't think that was the case. But I just realized like how timid I was when I started practicing. And reflecting back, even when I started taking herbs myself, I was timid. Like, I was learning about real clinical dosing, but it took me a while to feel confident to get into actually using those doses with myself and with people around me. Just because there's like this understanding that, like, I don't know, like there's just this blind spot of not really truly understanding what happens when you take herbs. Like, from going from book learning or classroom learning to real life felt like a really big leap. And I've always been very hyper cognizant of the book learning doesn't mirror the in-life learning, and I took a while to bridge that gap. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, I think we should all work to our confidence levels, and going low and slow is always the safest entry point, 100%. But I remember just having this really timidness to move through, to actually start confidently recommending herbs and trusting them and knowing how these things function in a real setting. And part of this was through my own experimentation. Part of this was through study groups and putting together groups where we're working with other clinicians and sharing information. Part of this was internships and being willing to ask stupid questions and just really moving through this piece of the puzzle that was so intimidating to me. So I know from the earliest days to where I'm at now that there is so many different obstacles and hurdles that come up. There's so many different places to misstep. There's so many different places to get confused and lost and trapped. And one thing that I really care to give back to the community now is what I wish I had when I started practicing herbalism, and that's a mentorship community where you can go ask a question, you can go bring a case forward, you can go get specialized training that's not another course, but it's an adjunct community where you have people willing and ready and able to talk about the herbs and the experience of taking this from book learning to clinical learning.